Civilization is in trouble. It doesn't matter what country you live in. It doesn't matter what kind of person you are. It doesn't matter your background. Everything is closing in. Take a look at this clip with Bill Gates during the pandemic.
Eventually, what we'll have to have is certificates of who's a recovered person, who's a vaccinated person, because you don't want people moving around the world where you'll have some countries that won't have it under control. Sadly, you don't want to completely block off the ability for those, people to go there and come back and move around. So eventually there will be sort of this digital immunity proof that, will help facilitate the global reopening up.
All right, so the main point of that video was to show Bill Gates discussing the need for more surveillance and more tracking, digital identification, blah, blah, blah. Okay, they tried it with the situation in 2020, with all of that whole thing. And it was essentially a precursor to what they're going to start pushing within the next 5 years, which is going to be digital currencies, one bank, one religion, one rule of law. Ultimately, everything they want everything governed under one heading. They want to get rid of the countries. They want to have a one world order. They want to have it to be ruled by one person. They want it to be one religion. They want it to be one monetary system. And they want it to be, most importantly, they want it to be all digitized. They want a digital ID. Now, the UK is currently going through that, as you guys probably know. And if you haven't seen that clip, there's videos on my channel a few back where I discussed that. Let's also take a look at Bill Gates in this next clip where he talks about the digital ID system.
Most of the time you're online, you're going to want to be in an environment where the people are truly identified. That is, they're connected to a real world identity that you trust, instead of just people saying whatever they want. And so the idea of provenance, who sent me this email, was that really them? We're going to have systems and behaviors that we're more aware of. Okay, who says that? Who created this?
I know the thing that kills me about these guys is that they set up these situations so that the situation engenders something not so good, right? Like in the UK with the digital ID, they're pushing the idea that this will help cut down on illegal immigration. And then with Bill Gates, in that clip, he talks about how it's going to help with like your online identification and stuff like that. They create these systems and they leave these loopholes of convenience in them so that they can later go and say, look, we have this problem over here. Then they can offer you the solution. They use fear and manipulation to get what they want. And at the end of the day, the outcome here is the same. They've been planning this for over 100 years. And this slow tiptoe, this incrementalism, is how they get there. All right, now let's take a look at a couple clips from RFK. One of them is significantly older than the other. We'll check out the older one first right here.
Do you believe the U.S. government should directly issue a digital currency to citizens?
I'm against central bank digital currencies. I think they will become an instrument of power and control, and ultimately they'll be used as an excuse to abolish cash currencies. What they're doing in China, if you don't meet a certain social credit score, you show up on a mask day when you're not wearing your mask properly, or whatever
Not
your offense is,
or whatever, yeah,
or not boosted. The government can turn off your capacity to spend money, or they can program it so that your credit cards will only work, for example, at grocery stores within a half-mile radius of your home.
Right.
But they won't buy you gasoline. They won't allow you to get an airplane ticket. They don't allow you to travel and buy items and foods in other parts of the country or abroad. And if government has those kind of powers over us, we're all in a lot of deep trouble.
So RFK appears to be on the side of humanity. He's against digital currencies and central banking and one world this and one world that. I mean, the reason they call it a new world order, because they're creating a system of control that encompasses the world, and it happens to be new. It's being built all around us, and on the back of our dollar bill in America, we can see those plans basically laid out in code. Okay, so one final clip by RFK. This was more recent in 2025, and he's really laying it on the line here. He's really telling you, you know, 20 years ago when I first got into the world of conspiracy, people would ridicule you if you even said a quarter of what I've already said in this video. But now you have official government agent people, RFK, Donald Trump, whatever. You have people that are actually speaking out against this criminal elite, and they're doing it in a public forum. You know the time is short when those types of things are happening. You know we are close to the end. And this digital ID, whether it's the mark of the beast itself or just a precursor to, it is ultimately one step closer into the claws of hell, basically. There's going to be no turning back once this system is in place. We are living in the last few years, the last decade of freedom.
Today is what I call turnkey totalitarianism. They are putting in place all of these technological mechanisms for control we've never seen before. It's been the ambition of every totalitarian state from the beginning of mankind to control every aspect of behavior, of conduct, of thought, and to obliterate dissent. None of them have been able to do it. They didn't have the technological capacity. Today, the mechanisms are being put in place that will make it so none of us can run and none of us can hide. Within 5 years, we're going to see 415,000 low-orbit satellites. Bill Gates says his 65,000 satellites alone will be able to look at every square inch of the planet 24 hours a day. Digital currency that will allow them to punish us from a distance and cut off our food supply. Every right that you have is transformed into a privilege contingent upon your obedience to arbitrary government dictates. It will make you a slave. And what do we do about this? What do? We resist. I'm going to tell you 3 rules that you all need to know and memorize. Number 1, every power that government takes from us, it will never relinquish voluntarily. Number 2, every power they take from us, they will ultimately abuse to the maximum extent possible. Number 3, nobody in history of the planet has ever complied their way out of totalitarian control. Every capitulation is a signal to the oppressors to impose new forms of torment or torture or compliance or obedience. Every time you comply, you get weaker. Bullies cannot be appeased. It just encourages them to new forms of torture and torment. Every time you say yes, you're getting pushed back to a weaker position. That's why we need to resist